Hi there. I'm sorry. Hi, Elise. I'm sorry I came on late. I've been standing here for about 4 minutes, and the app was stuck on Finn's tour that I was watching earlier, and I couldn't get it to go away, so I had to reset my whole phone. But anyway, I'm here. Hi, Mary Beth. Hey, Shalom, Ruth. Hi, Michelle. So, yeah, I was finished. I went and I just got a bubbly because it's so hot and sunny. Salut tout le monde, bonjour. Um, and then, as I say, it just got stuck and it wouldn't. Well, I'm delighted to be here too, Chloe. It's lovely to have everyone. I do feel like the app is being a little, because technically there's only 6 of you on board right now, according to my thing. I I really I don't like to start with negatives, but I wish they just get rid of these counters altogether. The weather is gorgeous, Jill. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's lovely to have you all here. At 27 now, yeah. Um, Hi, Vanessa. Yeah, I mean, the thing's freed up. But anyway, that's all good. Hey, I'm in Canmore, Alberta. I know I did a tour here not too long ago, but I'm here with my live tour group. We've had a spectacular day now. Um, I did a city tour of Calgary this morning, went up to Fort Calgary. It was gorgeous. And I haven't been able to take groups into Fort Calgary all year because they've been doing road construction. Well, they've opened it up now, and I was able to go in there, and a beautiful drive out here. And it's actually kind of quiet right now here. It will not be quiet in the weekend coming because, of course, my group's 31 people, and but it's going to be very busy because, of course, they're leading into the Labor Day weekend. Oh, Jilly, I'm sorry you didn't. I was able to go up the Calgary Tower yesterday, which is really fun to do that. So, listen, a big hi to everyone. Hey, Jeff, nice to see everyone joining on. If you haven't met me before, my name is Patrick Toomey. I'm in Canmore, Alberta here, which is actually where I'm from. This is kind of where I grew up, but I live in Banff, of course, which is 20 kilometers up the road. Um, Vanessa, I'll go walk by it for you. Absolutely, if you're coming here. In fact, my group right now are retired alumni from a university in Michigan. They're lovely. And I always ask when I come in. So Vanessa has mentioned quilting. I always ask, is anyone a quilter? And on this particular bus, about 10 hands went up. It's probably considered the best quilting shop in the world. Thanks, Michelle. And they have a great quilting tradition here. That comes out of the prairies, particularly. Hi, Una, nice to see you over in Dublin. So, Canmore, Alberta, let me give you a little bit of background first of all. First and foremost, I am on Treaty 7 territory here. Let's do a land acknowledgement. So, see, that is inside, no, Diane, north of there, Saginaw. Um, I can sing the song too. I was born Saginaw, Michigan. It's a fun song. But I'm here in Canmore, so this is Treaty 7 territory, the land of the Blackfoot First Nations and the Stoney Nakoda people. And then the Cree came through here and passed through. So this is a town that is famous to some people and unknown to others. So I'm in the Canadian Rockies, but I'm not in the national park here. Look at the blue sky behind me. It's spectacular. Uh, its claim to fame at the moment, Canmore, is it has the highest per capita population of Olympic athletes in the world. When Calgary was awarded the 1988 Winter Olympics, they built the Nordic Center here, and it's become an international training facility for cross-country, biathlon, and then downhill skiers come here for altitude training and general fitness training as well. So that's one big feature. Another feature is this was established in 1883 as a coal mining town. They have this very special coke coal here. That's the type, it burns at a higher temperature. Very dangerous to mine. Hi, Monique. Very dangerous to mine the coal here, but this was the most powerful coal. It burnt faster and at a higher temperature. So, Diane, and it was excellent for the trains. And of course, till the 1950s, the trains across this country were powered by coal. People are all sitting outside having their lunch at the moment because it is 28 degrees Celsius, just unbelievably warm for this time of year. Um, so I thought I would do a nice little loop around town today. It's really warm now. Of course, we have the perfect blue sky. Should we do as a reveal? So let's do a blue sky reveal. Look at that sky there. I mean, isn't it just spectacular? So the town of Canmore now is home to about 14,000 permanent people. There's housing for about 18,000. There's lots of positives. I'll get rid of the negative very quickly. This is, as a standalone community, the most expensive community in Canada. So if you take the list of real estate in this country, the most expensive. Hey, Peter, nice to see you. It's a beautiful, isn't it, Lucy? I know. But so West Vancouver has the highest property prices, then North Vancouver, then Canmore, Alberta, and then suburbs of Toronto. But as a standalone community, I mean, we're 100 kilometers from the city out here. This would be the most expensive. So that is a legitimate challenge. But what I'd like to do, and I will, and Vanessa even asked around the quilting company, but I'm going to do just a broader little loop around here because I try and take you on different walks every time I come. I'm standing out in the street. In fact, I think you should give me a medal because I'm outstanding in my field. But those are the three sisters up there in the distance. See that iconic image of town? And then as I curve around the back here, there is the grassy range named for Lawrence Grassy, an immigrant to this part of the world who was Italian originally. Well, he was Italian, but he spent his whole life wanting to protect that whole area that's become Kananaskis country. And then, of course, as I curve back here, this isn't the best view of it yet, but there is Mount Rundle, of course, the same one we see from Banff, but from the other side. There's a business I've never really liked. See that UPS? Why would you name your business, your delivery business? Oops. Anyway, so let's just wander up. We're going to go up by Policeman Creek. They've just had Pride here, and Pride's on in Calgary now, so you see the lovely Pride flag. But this sauvage, et moi je suis quand même assez sauvage, elle aime aussi. That's one of the newer restaurants in town. But this little lodge back here is the Paint Box Lodge. And this is owned by Sarah Renner and Thomas Grandy. Now, I consider them personal friends. Sarah Renner has a silver medal in cross-country skiing. Thomas Grandy won a couple of World Cup downhill races, never won an Olympic medal, though. Nice people. And this is their own little hotel. I know, Robert, that's the fed up joke. I use that on every one of my live tours. But they have the nice lodge in there, and they do organic cooking lessons and all sorts of things. This is the Creekside Hall. This is a senior center over here. So I can't go in because I'm not old enough now. It's fun. My mom used to do all sorts of neat things at the senior center. But I just thought I'd come and loop around the back here. Some beautiful flowers still out here. Most of our wildflowers have already gone away for the season. And we are dropping to single digits at night, but boy, oh boy, is it warm in the daytime. So this is the little Policeman's Creek down here. Water levels are falling distinctly through here. Hey, Joe. Water levels are falling distinctly now because the water down through this area that comes out of Kananaskis is not glacial fed, whereas the Bow River is, I know you've seen lots of ducks, but there's a duck having just a little bit of food. So it's nice to see them. Every now and then you'll find a fish will swim up into this pond in here, and they never last too long because it's so clear. If you see a fish swimming around in here, then very quickly you'll see an osprey circling around overhead, and then there'll be no more fish. Of course, some of you were with me the other night when we actually saw an osprey catch a fish over by the Bow Falls. That was so much fun. So there are some of the trees still have some berries out, and that is still bear warnings are around. Of course, I was just driving out of Banff the other day, and there was a bear on the street, a small black bear, collared as well. Now, this is the top end. So the old town is right down where we're going to walk around, but up in the distance here, you do actually have two big grocery stores, which are pretty lucky because even if you live in Banff, you'll sometimes come here to do the shopping. It's only a 20-minute drive from Banff to Canmore. However, Canmore and Banff now have paid parking, so that's changing the game a lot. But let's take a wander down. So this is 10th Street. Now, the reason I want to wander down here is I thought I'd make it down to sort of the water and then curve back and come back up Main Street today. I just thought I'd do a different walk than I have. I always try and mix them up a little bit. Now, there's the Paint Box Lodge from the front down here. Look at that first, there's a Canadian vehicle, two canoes on top on their van. Of course, one of the joke names for Canmore is actually Vanmore, and that's because there is an absolute, indisputable housing crisis. See, they're both skiers, the owners of Paint Box Lodge. And so people are literally living in their vans to work here, and they're allowed to park around back of one of the grocery stores. They let people park back there as long as they don't leave a mess. And so they live in their vans. Nice van right there. Now, across the way, you'd like this, Ruth. Across the way is community. That's all organic, vegan, and stuff like that. And of course, when you're here, you also have the sushi because gentleman eating lunch is. I just have to say hi to him, my old neighbor. How's it going, buddy? My old neighbor. Oh, it's nice to see him. And by the way, this restaurant over here, you've all heard of it because it's the famous Chinese restaurant. So you must. Isn't it funny the way you go around the road and see these things? Those famous donuts. So everybody's out having their organic food over here at the moment. But I do want to wander along. It's interesting. I just seen a a gentleman there in an assist chair, which is kind of cool because I was up by the Nordic Center with my group, and there were about 2 dozen people, all in wheelchairs, that are clearly trying some kayaking, which is lovely to see. Now, there's poetry in the ground as we wander along here, which is really lovely to see. But they talk about the blasting. The worst mine disaster they had here was June 14th, 1900, when 8 miners were killed in a blast. And that was a pretty tragic thing. Come on, give us a wave, everybody. Right up here, right there. There it is. That's the one. Yeah. All right. So they're on my bus. Now, you ready for? I haven't shown you this mural for a little while, so I just have to get ready for the best mural. And the parking lot is free right now. So in case you've ever questioned whether it's true or not, it is absolutely true. Pigs do fly. Isn't that just the best? It's getting faded. They really need to touch it up, but isn't it lovely to see flying pigs? So I just let you soak that one in from it. Hey, Marty. Hi, everyone. Like I said, I'm sorry I was half a minute late. I couldn't get on the app. It was frozen on Finn's tour, and then I had to reset my whole phone. There, by the way, is Mount Lady MacDonald, named for Agnes MacDonald, the second wife of the first Prime Minister of Canada. And of course, I have done a tour all the way at the top of that one before, and I have a virtually visiting 360 up there. And soon I'm going to be sending out a link to that because they're just doing an update. By the way, Harvest over there is all organic local food, but the place beside it's the consignment store. So that's where you can go and get older ski equipment and all sorts of fun things. So that's quite fun. Now, I need to come up around the corner. I have a few things I need to show you down through here at the moment. Yeah.
Is there a place community?
Straight up ahead.
Okay, because I thought you said something about
Harvest is good too. Both options. Yeah, I think people are looking for lunch, having fun wandering around. Now, let me show you a very moving world. There, by the way, is the ice cream truck. I almost feel like I need to go up and have an ice cream. I don't eat a lot of ice cream, but that is a stop. Every young person in this community loves to go up there and have the fresh ice cream. That is a booming business. It's quiet at the moment. But up behind it is Isabelle Dubé. Isabelle Dubé was a competitive mountain biker. And in 2005, while out jogging with 2 other friends, they were attacked by a grizzly and she was pulled out of a tree and killed. And so that's a monument to her. And it's, I really just don't eat a lot of ice cream, but Isabelle Dubé, really they need to fix that mural up too, but it is quite a moving sight to see. And I did actually know her. She was a local athlete, of course. I do know one other fellow who's been mauled by a bear here, and one of his arms is in a sling forevermore with some nerve damage. Now, again, all of what is Western Canada, there's maybe 1 bear attack a year, so we have to put that in some perspective. But that's why, of course, bear spray is so important. And I keep promising, and one day I'm going to get my friend Kim Titchener on the screen with all of us because she's a bear expert. And she was actually just paid to go up on an Alaska cruise to be an expert giving lectures. So she had so much fun. And I'm thrilled for her. But she's busy being a mom right now, so I don't think she can bear it. Now, let's just come around here for a second because Vanessa, if you're still there, there is the Sugar Pine Quilt Shop out in front of us. And again, it's widely considered one of the best quilt shops in the whole wide world. Now, I'm not a quilter, but I sure do appreciate the art of it. By the way, a lot of my friends who have worked in the far north, like geologists and things, they would get into knitting because, of course, you didn't have reception on your phones or anything. You'd sit up in the evenings and the light wouldn't go down. But yeah, so people who know about quilting really think of this as just the absolute center for it. I really love, so I worked for economic development for this community for a few years. And I really reached out to these quilting societies because, of course, my job was to grow market for town. Now, in the summertime, when everything's 100% full, it does look nice, isn't it? But when everything's 100% full, that's not what you needed. It's the shoulder season. So like mid-October, mid-November, that's when we get quilters coming down here for events. And I love going to them and then talking to people who know quilting because it's like talking to any artist. You learn so much about it. Now, obviously, the train was established. Well, the train established town as they came here to coal mine to power the trains. The oldest hotel was 1883. But I'm going to go head down by the river, and then I'll curve around and come back up Main Street. So we'll head down one more. Last time I did a walk with all of you, I started 1 block over at our pond. That's where we go ice skating in the winter and have all the New Year's activities. So we even have a town Zamboni. If you're not Canadian, you might not know a Zamboni. Those are the machines that drive around and polish the ice. JK Bakery was interesting. That was started by a family I can see people are putting notes on it. It's so bright out here that my screen is going dark on me again, so I have to be in the shade before I can read them. It was a lovely walk. Thanks, Glenn. J.K. Baker was started by a family where the mother, who's a lovely person, was English-speaking Argentine, and she also made beautiful cakes. And they had a daughter who was quite special needs, but was always such a lovely person. And they've sold and retired now. They're still around. So there's a lovely view now of the grassy range in the distance. You see some of the haze is building up in the sky. That's just evaporation because, frankly, for us in this climate, it's just too hot. They're doing a little work on this building up here. Sometimes the reception seems to bounce around here, but it seems to be holding just fine. If you are an American football fan, a few years ago at the Super Bowl, they actually had a car pulled into the Super Bowl by dogs, by sled dogs. And I can't even remember what the ad was about because I never actually saw it. I only heard about it. But they were pulled in by that. And the dogs came from Snow Hill sled dog tours. Now, I know the owners of this as well, and I assure you that they love their dogs and they take great care of them. Now, they're not the big Siberian Huskies you imagine. They're much smaller. The big Huskies just don't have the kind of resilience that they need for the long distance running. But they do tours up in the valley. They're closed at the moment. There's there if you want a pet husky in there. Isn't that lovely to see? So, and they do kennel tours in the summer. But of course, if you get into the dog sitting business, it's a huge commitment because they're living animals. Right? And there's a flatbread pizza coming over on the right hand side. Yeah, people really love it. I really like the owners. They're great community supporters. I'm not a personal fan too much of their product, but teach their own clubs. And other people love it. They're doing a lot of thinking. So, see signs for the Nordic Center. Nordic Center again is where they had the cross country skiing um, up the. Thanks, Helen. The cross country skiing during the Olympics. Why don't I? I'm waffling. Um, yeah, I'm gonna go down this way. When I'm gonna take you down. So I think maybe Ruth made a hummus thing. I actually had hummus for lunch the other day, Ruth. And I had vegetarian for dinner last night. So basically, I'm just hungry all the time now. But yeah. So I'm keeping up my little vegetarian stint. The longest I ever did was 2 years. But I promise that I'll cure myself one of the days through here. But you get a lovely view of some of these homes and how lush it all. Um, well, so cheeseburger. There's a hamburger chain in Canada called Harvey's, and they have a really good on meat burger, but we don't have any Harvey's out here in the valley. So have a look at some of these lovely homes. The problem is now, of course, housing. They're trying to slow down the housing market in this country. Canmore does have a little bit of space that they can still build in, but really not much more. This is interesting. They went through a whole branding thing in town about 12 years ago when I was working as an economist here, and the silly person in charge of the whole thing hired this company where I'm sure he got a kickback. I can say this stuff now because I've passed the official dates. And they did this whole branding of saying, Canmore, go beyond, which to me is a way of saying, don't stop here, there's something better up the road. But anyway, teach their own. And that was, yeah, different time. But and in case you didn't know which country you're in, there's a flag. But I'm going up to where the old trains used to run from the mines. And then I can go down to the train bridge. Some of you have seen that with me before. And it is just so beautiful. The river at the moment is just so perfect in turquoise. Say the Kananaskis River is dropping a lot because there's no glacial feed. But the Bow River, of course, is fed from the Bow Glacier. I'll be up there in a few days' time. So in terms of the actual tour I'm doing, I'm in Banff the next 2 nights with them, and I will go up. I put up high up a mountain for tomorrow, and that's because my group has the gondola included at Sulphur Mountain. So I just thought I'll hop on the gondola. So it's not like normally I hike up, but I'll go up there and give you all a tour because I haven't been up there for so long with all of you. So if you want to spread the word, it would be fun to have a nice big crowd up there. So I'll go and do that one tomorrow because that'll be great fun. And now, this is the old train bridge. There is public art everywhere in Canmore. You see over there, for example, there's just throughout the town. So in addition to the fact, because there's so many athletes here, but there's also so many artists in different forms, and of course retirees. Oh, those are rental electric bikes. I have them all over the place. Oh, great, Mary. Yeah, I'm looking forward to heading up. See what you see here? This will be kids from the local school. There's the train bridge and the Three Sisters. In fact, I passed this one here too. This is lovely to see. There's the two bears. It looks like a very prideful bear in the middle. Isn't that just lovely? Um, the mountain is perfect. Really is perfect for up there. Oh, this is just, I was going to zip past you, but it was rare. It was a rare delight when Jim Kavanaugh would stop the train, blow the whistle, and wave at my kids. Ah, some of the old train stories from down these neighborhoods. We still have a festival here called Miners' Days, but those families are fading because the last mines closed in 1979. My family were not miners, of course, they were ranchers further south from here, but I'm certainly connected with some of the old mining families through here. So it was specifically called anthracite coal. The largest mine seam in the world now is in south central British Columbia. But there was a huge section here, but it's very unstable rock. So at least 42 miners lost their lives in the mines that weren't even open for 100 years. So that gives you a little bit of a sense. But it does burn at a much higher rate. And if you like steel, then you like coke coal specifically. This is just the arts community and the sporting community. And boy, oh boy, as we move into September, the one thing that happens, you see the snow is pretty much melted off the mountains. Up around Lake Louise, there's still lots of snow. I'll show you the village of Lake Louise in a couple of days because I'll be staying there. Oh, look at this. There's a library to share, and there's a dog library. Take a stick, leave a stick. That's not fun. That's really neat. And this person's boat here has got that tiny little motor on the front. You might recognize those. That's right. If you're just trolling, if you're fishing at a very slow rate. Lucy, what was on the news the other night? Sorry, I didn't catch it. It's so bright on the screen that I'm actually missing more of the chat than I would like. But yeah, the snow is melting off, and so therefore it's a little harder to really have a look at the texture of the mountains. They lose some of that texture as they come through. The library share, oh yeah, it's fun having the books around. Now look at this. This is one that's been up here for a long time. There it is, July 13, 1979, Black Friday, Canmore Mines closed operation. And that's when they thought the town would die, but of course, Calgary getting the 1988 Winter Olympics, people suddenly realized that they could come and buy property in the Canadian Rockies because this is actually publicly traded land. We're surrounded by Kananaskis country, 5 different provincial parks, and of course, Banff National Park is only about 3 kilometers from here. So you have this huge protected area, but this town is free and open. If you know the South Park series at all, by the way, have a look at that. That is really very, very good, if you know it at all. There we go. So isn't it fun that we have just the public art everywhere? There's an old camper for sale. So let's head up. I can see the train bridge out in front of me, so it's going to be awfully nice to take a wander out and have a little peek at the river because it is just spectacular at the moment. You know, it's funny because on our big open platform like this, obviously, Canmore's a lot less known than Banff is. But those of you who do come regularly realize every single walk in Canmore is always fascinating, and you can get to so many different interesting areas to come and explore. So, and I find the views because the shape of the valley is a little different. The picture that I have on my head, do not disturb, but it was still phone calls are getting through every now and then. That's right, Diane. You know, it is. It's fascinating and always different. So it's fun to share it. Nice to see a few more people join. Now I'm in the shade, so I can suddenly see the screen a bit better. So it's nice to have everyone in. So even though we're high up, so I'm at about 1,350 meters above sea level, about 4,200 feet when I'm down at river level here. And even though these are ridiculously hot days, as soon as I'm here in a shady area, then you know that you're suddenly up in the mountains because it's just not that hot. Um, it is a lovely way to spend a lunch break. I totally agree. Um, but as I do make my way up onto this is the old train bridge that would lead. Thanks, Patty. Hi, Patty. Nice to see you. It's Patty. I think you're still cooking down um, there in Ontario. I guess Ottawa, something like 40 degrees. MK, we get bears all the time here, all the time. This is all kind of bear territory, and of course you can see the bulbs coming out. You can see them coming down through here. So I used to live up towards the Nordic Center when I lived in Canmore, and I live in downtown. And I would see bears. I actually saw bears in my backyard here more than I did in down because of the shape of where the yard was where I lived. So we get both black bears and grizzlies. And in fact, I posted on our camper van group just about 4 days ago. Was it a 91-year-old lady or 81? But either way, pulled out bear spray and chased a bear off the other day. And where she was the other side of the train bridge here. That's called Larch Island. So she was walking along and she actually sprayed a very aggressive bear. So it happens all the time. Anyone, yep. My mom would know her for sure. I didn't recognize her name. So here's the cold train coming. But really, I hope you're in the mood for just a sheer treat of beauty, ladies and gentlemen. I really hope you are, because the color of the river this time of year is the most beautiful time of year. So hang on tight here. So there you're looking up. I just love this view down the Chambers. But have a look at this for just a sheer spectacular color. What do you think of them, Apple? Michelle, you've got to have a bit of this turquoise water near you too, right? You live in the northern side of Switzerland, I think. It's just, I know you're really starting to run a little thin on glacial ice, but I would think yeah, when I did hybrid, when I did, you do need to see it in person, Brenda. Come on over. And this is why, so this group that I have, so often is the case. Canmore wasn't on their itinerary, but I do a city tour of Calgary. Now, they got in early enough yesterday that I was able to take them up the Calgary Tower. And so I gave them a full tour, but then I come out here and I give them a good couple of hours because they've not even heard of it. And it becomes one of the highlights of their trip. And of course, everyone loves Banff and everyone should love Banff. It's wonderful. But to have access to all of this, look at this today. Sorry, I have to almost get in some shade again so I can see. Um, you're headed, oh, Brenda, you're headed here in September. Are you on a tour or are you coming on your own? As if you're coming on your own, I can give you lots of ideas. If you're on a tour, then obviously it's going to be contingent on the tour guide. And say the driver I'm working with on this particular tour, I consider him to be not just a personal friend, but a close personal friend. On your own, oh great. Well, feel free to contact me if you have questions. I'm easy to find. But I'm going to say very nice things about Richard, my driver, because he was with me on a tour, 3 years ago now, when my dad was so sick that I left the tour, went home, and I was with my dad when he passed, and Richard just took over and took care of me. And he says on every tour, he likes me to try and take him to some new place. And he's a retired fire chief. I mean, like, he's doing this for fun. He's a good human being. Now there is a bit of another arm that meets up with the river down in the distance. That's what's coming off the power station, and that's because there's a dam up in the hills. So that's what we're looking down. But I mean, how you just can't tire this image at all. Now when I'm in the spring, I'm gonna have one little peek, but I don't think I'll have any luck because in the springtime, too late now, we will see the bull trout spawning down here. Everyone playing by the water. So I don't think I'm going to see any fish. It's just too much flow. But now you're looking up towards Banff. Way in the distance there is Cascade Mountain. Yeah, and have a look at that curve. So right down here, it's no longer there. But when Finn was little, so when he was 2, we were living in Paris and then came home and he turned 3 here. And I used to bring him down. There was a daycare there. Now, I didn't really bring him down. Thanks, Ruth. I didn't really bring him down for daycare. I just brought him for a couple hours a day, like preschool, really a chance to socialize with kids. And I was training back then for a big climb. I was climbing Aconcagua down in Argentina. So I would walk from home all the way down here with him on my back. I would walk down daycare. I'd leave him for a couple hours. I'd come back and get him. So I would do sort of 12 kilometers a day with him on my back. And I swear that's part of the reason we're so close now, because we would go down and we'd play songs and we'd chat. And he'd have great fun, and I'd wear all the gear. And on Finn's the day after his 4th birthday, he climbed that mountain there. I carried him down, but he climbed up it all by himself. Um, I didn't want him to walk down because of course it's so easy to trip. So let's come down through here. So yeah, it is a bit of a memory walk down here, but it's funny, we're so happy with our home in Banff now. I never, as is so true as a real, and of course I for years have tried to convince people that we're not Canmorites, but we're Canmorons. It was hard to make the move to Banff. Banff to me was always a place to work, but now the Canmore's grown so much, we've actually protected our world in Banff a bit more. This is where a tree would have come down through erosion and fallen out into the river. By the way, there's some lovely robins still hanging around having a lovely time. Thank you both. It's Anna Maria, I guess you're still hot down there too. And I will promise to forget you not when I'm thinking of you. And John, nice to see you. Thank you. John, whereabouts are you in the world, by the way? It's so nice to see you on so many tours. I think it's one of these days soon I'm going to have to do another one of our community conversations. Thanks, Trish. And get, because we have so many sort of new people coming and hanging out with us. And it would be fun. Now, my reception has just dropped a tiny little bit here. So if it's getting fuzzy at all, don't worry, it'll come back to life. I don't know why the reception shouldn't have fallen here, but it has at the moment. But look at these trees here. They are teetering on the edge, but boy, oh boy, their roots are so deep in here. Thank you, Brenda, that they're hanging on. And I don't think this one's going to go for a number of years yet because that's such a dense formation in there, as those roots are so deep. You know, Sharon, it is the color of the water. Do you, Monique? Well, it was Sir George Stephen, the first president of Canadian Pacific Railway. He was born in Banff, in Scotland. Thanks, MB. Mary Beth, I'm trying to add up how many times you've been here to the Rockies. It's not enough, but you've been here quite a few times now. So it's you would this wouldn't be your happiest day, Mary Beth, even though it couldn't be more spectacularly beautiful than it is today. But it's pretty warm out here. But of course, the evenings the temperature drops. You know, Finn did his survival tour the other day. He was actually showing some wild strawberries, which is lovely to see them coming out. Isn't this a spectacular view down here? But this is warm. Yeah, thanks, Trish. It's you're waiting for winter. Well, this is a place you come back to, but you need to do. Now, I mean, I was a little bit sad, of course, when Robert and his whole family came because we had these really rainy day, and you've seen, I mean, you see on my tours how rarely it is. Um, but I mean, they were still super positive and loved everything. But so often you get this kind of weather. September is a lovely month often because it's cool in the morning and then warmer through the days. Although this is a little too warm. That's why you have the evaporation up the back of the mountains as well. So what I'd like to do is I don't want to take you away from the spectacular river. So about 85% of the flow in this river right now is coming out from the glaciers. And the glaciers, of course, are from the Bow Glacier. Look at this erosion happening just on the edge here. So these trees are calling it a day. But they're it's coming down from, you know what I keep doing? I look through where you see the clear bits of water, and every now and then you will find fish swimming through there. There's 4 larger fish. So 2 types of trout, then Dolly Varden, which is a bull trout. Oh, there is a fish right there. Look at that. Look, can you see it? See if you can. There we are. You see? I love it when I say things like this and then they come true. Try and get a postcard there. I don't know if that is a cutthroat trout or if it's a bull trout. I hope it's a bull trout just because that's the native fish. Mountain whitefish, but they're deeper in there. Isn't that lovely? So it's sitting right in the current. Oh, it feels protected, although I bet an osprey could find that. So they don't get a whole lot bigger than that here. I mean, if you get one up to at a half a kilo or a pound, that's about in this cold water. Jill, you can swim, but it is so cold. This melted yesterday off the glacier, maybe the day before. So we are 100 kilometers roughly from the headwaters, about 110 the headwaters of this river. So people stick their feet in, but it is really cold. I'm so thrilled. So please do take a picture, because the one thing I cannot do is take pictures from here when I'm giving the tours. But isn't that lovely? Oh, there, it just caught something. There you go. So that's where you'd fly fish. Hey, that was really nice to see. And Yeah, we even there's a few lakes around here where you get Arctic grayling. It's about as far south in the world as you'll ever meet a grayling. What a treat to see that. I'm kind of chuffed now. So that's beautiful. So let's wander back, and then what I'd like to do with everyone is head back up into town. Thanks, Robert. I'll just be quiet because someone's having a quiet moment of reflection over here. You never know when someone's sitting sort of peacefully alone on a bench if they're not just missing someone or something. So I don't like to, disturb their world too much if I can help it. But coming back up through here now, and we'll go and wander our way into town. Now, once again, the sun is just making the screen so bright that I have a little trouble seeing what everybody's saying. But it's lovely to have you all here on this just spectacular day. So I think once I say goodbye to you, I'm going to go and get a quick little bit of lunch. And then I'm carrying on with my tour today. And in fact, because many of you have been on so many tours with us, I'm actually taking the group this afternoon up to the Cave and Basin and down. And of course, you've all learned about it with Finn so much. And that's going to be fun. And then, say, tomorrow I'm taking them up the gondola. But I really like this itinerary because they have a half day free and bound tomorrow, and they need that. You need some time just to wander and soak this in yourself. This is the underground river. This tells you a lot more about the flow as we talk about the water through here. And it's a huge drainage area, and again, because it's all so porous. Now, there is flooding. We had the famous, thanks both, I said an MK. So we had the famous flood, of course, in 2013, 1924. Diane, it is lovely. And even like I'm not a shopper, right? But you do need a couple of hours to look in the shops because it's all fun touristy stuff, of course. And then, but my strong recommendation, and I know Terry and Jolene really learned that when they came and stayed, is the trick in Banff is to get up early in the morning. Because a lot of the shops and things don't open until about 10. And people tend to, because they're on vacation, I guess, or on holiday, they tend to get up a little bit later. And if you get up early, you can actually see so much. And I remember Terry and Jolene joined me down at the Bow Falls, and the parking was empty, right? And then by mid-afternoon, of course, it's super busy. That's part of the fun. But Diane, when you finally do come, well, I'll have you up for dinner on my deck rather than going out to town anyway. Well, that's good. We'll get up early and you go wander along the river. And of course, so many of you have joined me on my morning walks over there. I love doing the morning walks. So I had to figure out. Oh, that's fine. Don't worry about it. I just love it. I can see that more people are sponsoring as well. And I thought Chloe put up just a really wonderful post about that the other day, and I really appreciate it. But apparently, there is the ability for me to do sponsor only tours, and again, I don't want to be exclusive here, but I do like having the private tours because every now and then it's a different sort of conversation. So I'm going to find a date where I just put one up and try and find a time that sort of works for everyone. Yeah, and your sister is really wonderful, Robert. So we're coming up by Main Street. That's what I thought. The last few minutes that we have together, let's wander up Main Street, and then I'll pick where I'm going to get a bit of lunch. And yes, it's still going to be vegetarian. I've even ordered vegetarian dinner for tonight. although where I'm eating, they do really lovely salmon, and I really like salmon. Hey, look, there's a free chest of drawers over there if anyone liked them, and there's even a tennis court behind. I don't recommend playing in December, but at least there. So right up there is Mount Lady McDonald again. That's right, salmon is almost vegetarian. And of course, our salmon out here is, well, we don't have any salmon in Alberta, but we're so close to British Columbia where there is salmon. And of course, I only eat wild Pacific salmon, and I just love it. Did you just have some, Elise? Because your salmon up there in Scotland, I do still like it, but it's Atlantic salmon, and I do taste the difference. I'm a real sockeye person. Yeah, we're pretty biased towards our Western salmon, but it's really the wild salmon, And are you aware? And I can't wait till I can give you a tour. Maybe I'll have a look when I'm in Kamloops. I am taking the train from Jasper all the way to Vancouver, The one upside is sometimes in September I will see salmon runs from the train. Now I really don't think I can stream a tour for you on the train. It's just going to be too awkward. But as I do go west, they're apparently having an extraordinarily large salmon run this year, which is fabulous news because the last few years they have been, to the point of being disastrously small. And so there's some really good hope for there. So here we are on our pedestrianized main street. There's lots of fun places here. Restaurant over there is called The Wood. They have a nice deck. Yeah, I went through several incarnations. When I was a child, it was a Sherwood House, but it stayed The Wood for a long time. The fellow who manages it's a really nice guy, and so he's made a big difference. Here we are. Where's the nearest train station, Jill? So there's a train station in Banff, and there's a train station in Jasper. But the only passenger train that comes through here all is the Rocky Mountaineer. So the train service up in Jasper, the Via Rail from Toronto, still goes through there up to the north. If you ever want to do that, make sure to buy a lot of those legal edibles and put yourself into a state of stasis for 3.5 days as you go across the prairies in the train. It's, yeah, I've never done it, but I just don't think I can do it. But that's to each their own. Now we've got art galleries all up and down through here. But yeah, there is no train service. They keep doing a study, and apparently, so Parts Canada has put an end to the idea of a gondola from the train station up Mount Norquay. I disagree with that analysis, but teach their own. But there's still a lot of talk of having a train from Calgary out to here. So that's a lot of talk coming out. That is gorgeous. So there's lovely, lovely art galleries. So that'll be interesting. I've shared this before, but one of the real challenges when we talk about the idea of bringing a train out here from the city is that because housing is so expensive, if they were to do that, you might just wipe out the kind of working class of this community altogether because people will come out every day on the train from the city to work. And that would be a really sad loss to the community because you don't want to just be a wealthy resort for getaway weekends. Diane, are these your favorite galleries? Yeah, they are they are lovely through here. And I love the sculpture in the middle of town. It'll be a different one next year. By the way, this is fun. Almost tempted to go and eat here, but I need some shade. This is Blake. There is a big restaurant called Blake in town, which is fun. It's really good food. But here is an old double-decker bus and they've turned in. Hey, how's it going? Good. I did. Do you want to say hi? Hold on, everyone. This is my friend Astrid. 10 years ago, today it came up in my memories. We did the Fondo, the Grand Fondo. 10 years. We did it was the first. I know we have to do it again. Happy birthday, your boy. Yeah. Hey, I'll be around for about an hour. Sure. Thanks. Oh, what a Drake. So her son is one of Finn's oldest friends. They both started preschool, pre-K together at age 3. And their boy's birthday, they just did something I've always wanted to do. They just rafted the Yukon River. Just come back. So yeah, Astrid actually teaches at Mount Royal University. So have a look at this. So it's neat. And here's the old Canmore Hotel, ladies and gentlemen, right over here on the left. So there you go, 1890. That means it opened 2 years after the Banff Springs opened. And this would have been a rough old working place. And of course, in all the law in the early days, to get a drink, you had to be in a hotel. So that is still the law on the books up in Yukon. And up in Yukon there, every single bar has got one room, theoretically, for rent at the back. You'd never, ever want to go in. Can do. And there's a statue of the miner. Ooh, a bit of live music on, too. Yeah. So what a day out here, though. It's so nice to share this with all of you. So there is just a different view of Cascade in the winter. Right there. And then, of course, all sorts of local art everywhere around. And these are lovely to see, too. Now, I'm just going to come over. I like to walk up the middle of the main street with everyone. However, I can't really do that because I just can't see anything. And I think I'm just about at time. I bet you do, Robert. So, ladies and gentlemen, listen, thank you for joining me. I've already hit time. I do want to say, as always, peace and love. It's nice to see a reasonable crowd on board for Canmore here. It's I think we're at the time of year where some of the numbers dropping, but it seems like across the platform numbers are creeping up again. So that's good news. Um, but it's lovely to spend time with all of you, ladies and gentlemen. And these are fun tours, and there's actually so many potential conversations to have in towns like this. Thanks, Cindy. It's so nice to hang out with all of you, and thank you for your friendship and your support. So big mountain hugs to all of you. The next couple of weeks, the next few weeks, I'm just doing honestly nonstop tours. I think I have one day off in 2 months, but I'll be squeezing in tours here and there as we make our way along. Oh, great, Joy. There, by the way, there's Moraine Lake right there in that picture. My buddy Richard and I is driving, and he's been a guide here too. So we keep testing each other when we see pictures. See, what mountain's that? That's part of the fun. Thank you, Patty. Well, it's lovely to share. And here's Carter Ryan. Right, you might remember when they had this bear out at the end of Bear Street in Banff. All right. So listen, everyone, you have a gorgeous rest of your day. My kid did a great cooking class this morning. He seemed to have a pretty good crowd on too. So that was nice. Yeah, and I will be up at the lake. So stay healthy and happy and warm and positive. And I will cut across here and give you one last little peek at the Three Sisters up there. All right, and if I missed anyone, I'm really sorry to say when these gorgeous sunny days just make the screen go so dark. It's hard for me to catch everything, but I love the interactive nature of this. So I'll put up a community conversation one of these days where we can all say hi to each other and get to know each other a little bit better. All right, ladies and gentlemen, peace and love. Take care and be healthy and happy. And it's lunchtime here.